morning, I'm Sam with California Pacific JBugs. We're here today working on a new project for us here at the shop. One of the guys picked up a bug, and over today we're going to go over a couple things you should look at when purchasing a Beetle. Yeah, this is Sam again. We're going to go over a couple places on your Volkswagen where you're going to find your VIN numbers. This is more specific to the later model Beetles. Earlier Beetles will have a VIN number elsewhere. But starting in roughly 67, 68, this is going to be the key points where you're going to find the VIN number. One being lower left of the windshield, kind of like most modern cars nowadays. Lower left of the windshield, there should be a VIN number stamped to the dash. Another place is going to be on the back of the door jamb. These are commonly painted over. We're going to go over that in a minute. Not always there, but this is one place that it should be. Another place is underneath the rear seat. In front of the shifter access plate, you're going to find the chassis number stamped in there. Now these numbers aren't always going to match. You got to realize these cars are old. Things do get swapped. Not a huge issue, but it's something that could cause a problem with the DMV later. Alright, when you're buying a car, don't wear anything nice, because you're going to have to get dirty. On your hands and knees, look underneath the car, in the fender wells, as we're going to show you here. Major rust spot, as far as, on Volkswagens, where you're going to find some issues, and as we've found here right now. Back edge of the quarter well, right in front of the fender, on that heater channel that we mentioned earlier. Another place where water's going to gather and cause what we have here is cancer. As you can see here with this rust in the fender well, it's all just flaking off. That's why, if the owner of the car that you're looking to buy is willing, bring a small screwdriver. This is helpful too because it has a magnet. And you can see if there's any excess body fill or otherwise, which obviously is not going to be in this area. But this, I just want to show you the rust. Key portion to look at for rust on a Volkswagen Beetle is the heater channel. The heater channel literally goes from the very front of the car, all the way up to the front frame head, all the way back to the rear quarter panel. It's a structural piece of the body. That's at the bottom of the car, next to all the water and everything else that's over the years that gets inside the body is going to sit down here and rust. If it's rusted, can be bad. It's a lot of work to replace, but not the end of the world for the right project. All right, one area to look for rust is it sits in the back, and oftentimes if you have a bad rear window rubber, water's going to leak in and gather here in this padding. This padding is going to retain moisture, and as I can feel here, you can't see it in the video obviously, but it is wet. Fortunately, you can kind of tap on it, a screwdriver or otherwise, nothing else, just use your hand. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but you're just waiting or trying to hear the sound of solid rubber as opposed to crunching or otherwise. One of the most common problem areas with Volkswagens for rust is directly underneath the battery. Problem being all the battery acid sitting over the top of the metal. It's going to corrode it. It's not the end of the world. It's something that has to be replaced regularly. If your car, the car that you're purchasing rather, doesn't have any rust there, perfect, awesome. One less headache to deal with. But we can see some rust has already eroded out of this, and by the looks of it, it's actually already been repaired possibly once already. Next thing we're going to go over is just general body shape. Overall fit and finish, the hood, the fenders, the running boards, how do the doors fit, how are all the body gaps, so to speak. Couple things I can see immediately here. This thing's obviously had a front end collision. We got a little bit of rust and Bondo here, not a huge issue on a fender. In the body, however, we can see that there's a large gap between the hood and the body here, which tightens up along the body line and then gets large again towards the back of the hood. Fender fitment here, this car doesn't have any fender beading, which is kind of helpful because we can see that the fender gap is actually relatively good. Although this car is missing some fender bolts, we can see that the body line and most importantly the fender bolts are in good shape and not rusted out. Coming across to the back of the car, the rear fender fitment looks good. Fender beading, although it's out of place here slightly, shows that the body line across the back of the car is good. Fender fitment to the apron looks really good. The body itself back here is in fantastic shape. I don't see much information as far as indicating that this would have been an accident in the rear, at least nothing major. The deck lid fitment, which is always a pain, is definitely out of alignment, but that's something that can be taken care of with just resetting the hinges. Also, when we step back a little bit, as we open and close the deck lid, make certain that it opens nice. We don't have any interference here. Again, this back of this car is actually in really good shape. I don't see any major accident damage. With the door fitment, this door gap here is a little bit tighter than I like to see. Again, with some issues with the front end that may have pushed the A-pillar back, causing this tight gap. Across this edge here is all right. Across the top is perfect. Across the back of the door jamb, it's a little bit larger than I'd like to see. The gap at the bottom, or the body line at the bottom, is pretty close. Not a huge issue there. That just might be some worn out door hinge pins which can be replaced. Pretty easy to do. When opening the door, first thing I can immediately feel and see somewhat, might come out in the video, but there is a little bit of play in the door hinges. Not a big deal. Replacing the door hinge pins is not all that big of a deal, but you want to open the door, close the door, make sure that it fits tight against the body. Most importantly, that you don't get any scraping when you first open the door, which indicate the door pins are really worn. With the hood open, we can see what I saw earlier as far as problems with the hood not fitting properly. You can see a lot of body damage here, wrinkles, even some Bondo along the front of the apron here. You can see that all this metal's been crunched in. This has been pushed in flat. This actually should sit out further, which would cause that large gap when the hood was closed. Also inside the fender wells, or inside the hood or trunk, this is where the spare tire would sit. We can see that this entire area down here has been crunched. We can see lots of wrinkles, cracks in the paint, even underneath all the black spray paint that somebody had done to kind of, cover up some of the issues. Coming in, looking at the back of the dash here, we can see there's no speedometer cable attached. Not a big deal, but if this guy's trying to tell you that this thing's got really low miles, could be because he hasn't been putting any miles on it because there's no speedometer cable. Typical Volkswagen wiring. Looks like a mess. A lot of people have been through this thing. Obviously an aftermarket stereo, different sorts of wires that aren't necessarily plugged into anything that should be. This might be kind of a red flag that you might want to tow this car home instead of drive the car home. Electrical fires are not fun.